Alright guys, it's Dokkan time again, and today we're going to be going over a bunch of EZA units. So I decided to just make one it's either going to be a really big video or I'm going to be really short with it, because just about all of these EZAs are built the exact same. There's pretty much no diverging from how you're going to build any of them. If you choose to build them differently, that's entirely up to you and your personal preference. There's also no camera right now as I'm messing with settings at the moment. But yeah, we'll just kind of go down the list. We will also peek at Halvard's defense calculations for several of them. Actually, I think we'll do that first and foremost, just to give a good range of an idea of what you can expect. Now, when you see these defense calculations, I hope everyone understands that none of these are realistic. They're not realistic. You're never going to hit these defense calculations. I'll tell you what the average defense calculation is that you're going to see in a match or a fight, but it's not going to be the maximum output. Not whatsoever. It'll never happen. Never happen. Not unless you abuse items. So anyways, let's go start looking down. So the first one we get to see is going to be for the physical Gohan. Now, unfortunately, the Z Sword Gohan is unfortunately always had a very long run of very poor units. The only exception being the TEQ, the TEQ stacking guarding unit. His World Tournament counterpart is pretty much crap, and unfortunately, this one's not going to be too much better. So start a turn defense, it might as well be 0. If you collect 6 physical key spheres, you have to collect physical key spheres, you can hit 487 start a turn defense. That's not bad. But if you didn't notice, there's no defense after that. So you see that 23 phys key spheres. Yes, that's a full field full of physical key spheres. That's a full field. Automatic change. Like, every single orb has to be a physical key sphere to hit 1.5. The good thing is that if you can get 6 key spheres, 6 physical key spheres with him, then you can hit a very respectable start a turn defense at Rainbow, Link level 10. With a 40% support, you'll probably be around 550k defense, roughly. Without the support, though, you'll probably only be at below 500 at 487. With that, you're still taking like 30k. Well, you wouldn't take any damage because he's physical, but if you were fighting, let's say, Intelligence Amasu and an AoE hit him, he would tank that if you collected 6 physical key spheres. I don't know why that's so difficult for me to speak in words. So with that in mind, I mean, we'll go take a look at him. He greatly he stacks attack. Okay, he has a 50% chance to stun. He gives all physical types key plus 3 attack and defense plus 10%. It's the super physical types that get an additional attack and defense plus 50%. So he's actually supporting physical types by 60% total if they're super fizz. That's insane. That's absolutely absurd to give a 60% increase. And we got randomly changes key spheres to physical key spheres, so that's good. There's no actual attachment to that. It just means, hey, he'll pop up, randomly change them. The only time this will be a problem is if there's another orb changer on the field that could potentially mess that up. If you had a rainbow orb changer that was also hitting the field at the same time, you could potentially be in a really crappy position where you could only get maybe 2 or 3 key spheres, and then you're going to be in trouble. Because you're not putting this guy in slot 1. We'll keep going through his stuff. Attack and defense plus 50% per key sphere. That's where all of his defense is pretty much coming from. Additional attack and defense plus 10% critical hit chance per physical key sphere obtained. So the interesting thing about this is that means that if he collects 10 key spheres, he has a 100% chance to crit. That's a very fascinating thought process. 10 key spheres equals an automatic crit. Changes all key spheres into physical key spheres if there are 2 or more superclass allies and HP is 50% or lower. So that's very fascinating to me, because that means if you're at 50% or below, you actually have the option to put him into slot 1 and grab all those key spheres because you're at 1.5 million defense. 1.5 million defense, and you're solid. And he has Activate Guard for 4 turns since the start of battle if there are 3 or more other physical type allies on the team. So the only problem with this is that this only applies from the start of turn. It's not infinite. It's for 4 turns only. It's counting it when he's off rotation. So if he pops up turn 1, it'll be activated until turn 4, and then once turn 5 hits, he loses guard. So I wouldn't depend on the guard necessarily. It is something to take into consideration pre turn 5 or turn 5 if he pops up on turn 2. I mean, if he's in the 7th slot, then that means it won't end until turn 7, which would be ideal. But yeah, he's not that bad. As far as how you should build him, it should be honestly kind of pretty obvious. You don't want to give him crit. There's no reason to. You don't need to give him AA. There's no reason to. The only thing to give him is a full dodge build. He's a full dodge build. He can crit. He can do some decent damage. But that's not the main focus of this unit. At the end of the day, as I like to tell people, build the unit for what they're built for. Don't build it for what you want them to be built for necessarily, unless they're just straight up unrunnable. This is a support unit. That's what he's doing. He's here to provide 60% support to physical units, super physical units specifically, and to tank hits. That's all he's there for. So I would just highly suggest a full-on physical, or a full-on dodge build for this guy. Dodge. He can auto crit if you get enough orbs. He's got crit based on whatever you collect. I mean, there's no reason to give him crit. There's no reason to give him additional. It's nice that he greatly raises attack. And it could be very interesting how some people could potentially nuke with him in a matter of speaking. I mean, this could be a very interesting character if you wanted to give him additional as well. But I'm just going to treat him as a support unit at the end of the day. I mean, he's a physical unit, so he's going to have some additional no matter what. So, I mean, build him how you like, but I think everybody already has most of these units exactly how they want, and that's focused as a support unit, so they all pretty much have dodge. But anyways, let's move on to another unit. What is the next unit that he has all centered up here? He's got the Physical Buu. So the Physical Buu, let's see here. Let's take a look at him. He's got start of turn defense, 117k. With 6 key spheres, he's got 426 start of turn defense, and then 553 defense after supering, and then if he additionals, he's got 681. Once again, 23 Fizz key spheres is not a realistic thought process, so don't bag on that. Assume that with the 6 key spheres will be your average. If not, you'll be below that. You should be worrying a little. Go take a look at his kit. He's an extreme 150 lead. Wow. E+4. Nice. That's very nice. Raises attack and defense for 1 turn. He recovers 20% HP. Fizz type, key +3. Same thing. Except in this case, he is for extreme physical types. Randomly changes key spheres. I mean, so far, he's exactly built the same as Gohan. He's exactly built the same, aside from the fact that he's an extreme type. I mean, extreme and super, that's basically the difference here. But that also applies the same thing. He does have that 10% crit chance per Fizz key sphere attained, so that means that he could auto crit at one point or another. Changes all key spheres into physical key spheres if there are 2 or more extreme class allies. Yep, same exact thing. Guard, 4 turns, yep. So they are literally the exact same unit, except for a couple differences. So Gohan has greatly stacking attack, and he's a weapon type unit, which is, there's very few weapon type attackers in the game. This dude is an energy based, and he recovers 20% HP, and he raises his attack and defense on super, but he's not stacking. So in this case, you could still technically nuke, obviously, because yeah, he gets attack and defense per key sphere obtained. So of course you can nuke with him. But he doesn't stack his attack like Gohan does, so he doesn't have the capability of hitting an absurdly high damage based on how the fight is going. So with this unit, I would still suggest the exact same build because he's got the built-in crit. There's no reason to care. If you if you get to a point where the 23 key spheres pop up, yeah, he'll have a very respectable 1.3 million defense. He'll be able to tank just about all of the bosses. Minus, of course, Zamasu's. I mean, Zamasu's going to hit him, even with type advantage on the first phase of the Zamasu fight. You're still going to take some damage out of that, because that Zamasu does almost 2 million damage. And then once you get into the physical phase, you are getting hit with a 2.3 million attack stat. No matter what, this, even with a full key sphere, 23 physical key spheres obtained, unless you double super with this guy, he would die from Zamasu. Now, it doesn't mean that he's bad. He's very good. I still can't change how you should build him. It should be a full dodge build, or in this case with Buu, you could focus on the additional and try to go for a more likely chance that you're going to additional super rather than you're going to dodge. Because at the end of the day, additionals and crit have a higher chance of proccing than a dodge does. So when it comes down to support units that actually do have a respectable defense number, you have to take into consideration, do you want to take the chance on an additional going off and solidifying your defense so that he doesn't have to dodge? Or are you just going to put all your chips into a dodge that has literally half the chance? Literally, that's not even a joke. Half the chance to dodge than there is to additional. It's entirely up to you. No matter what, he's still a support unit. I wouldn't put your chips on him surviving everything. It's very situational based on what's going to pop up. So, let's move on to the next one. The next one he's got lined up is going to be the Hyper Metal Rildo. This dude is one of the few GT units in the game. Definitely helps Omega Shenron on GT bosses. Yeah, I mean, let's take a look here. Without support, 125, garbage. With 6 key spheres, 456. Not bad. Could be better, but not bad. Defense post super. Okay, and then we got the 23 key spheres once again. Once again, I'm gonna say this every time. 23 AGL key spheres is not realistic. Do not bet on it. Do not put your chips on it. All right. Be very, very wary about what you're betting on there. All right. So, Metal Rildo. It looks like they're all 150 leads and key +4 for their respective typing and super or extreme. So that's good. He greatly raises attack and defense on super, and then he lowers attack and defense and seals. Wow, this dude's got a lot going on for him in that super. That's crazy. That's really good. AGL type, yep. Attack and defense, yep. Randomly changes, yep. Critical chance, yep. Changes all key spheres, yep. Activates guard, yep. So I guess the only real difference between every single one of these units is looking like it's going to be their super attack. If their super attack is different. Now, he has a lower defense, which is why, I mean, I think... But he greatly raises, right? Yeah, he greatly raises his attack and defense. So that helps him pretty well. It's going to be the same thing I said before. You're probably going to want to just choose. Do you want to put in the additional and bet on him additionaling, or do you want to put in the dodge and bet on him dodging? So that's going to be your build choice there. I would say with 684 on post super, it's not terrible, but he's not surviving a super. If he does get hit with a super attack that's a 1 million, I mean, you're losing half your health bar. If you get hit with I mean, he's not surviving Zamasu by any means. He'll take about 50k from an AoE from Zamasu. He should tank the Weelo, the new Red Zone Weelo. He should tank the AoEs from there, because those AoEs are only 400k rather than 500k. So, I mean, he's tanking pretty well with 6 AGL key spheres. Just once again, I can't not stress it enough. You have to get the freaking key spheres. If you do not get the 6 AGL key spheres and you only get like 3, you're gonna get bodied. You're gonna get destroyed. So the guard does help, but it's only for 4 turns. Remember that, 4 turns only for every one of these units. You have to make it to the next turn. So then we move on to Pan. Now, Pan seems a little crazy. So with 6 AGL key spheres, she's at 500k defense. If she double super, she's at 800. Post super, she's at 650. Not a very, very good numbers. Very good numbers. Could be better still. Once again, don't take into consideration the 23 AGL key spheres. Let's go take a look at her actual. So once again, she's built the exact same as every one of these other units. They're all built the same. The big difference here is this. Attack and defense plus 30% to all allies for 2 turns. Now that's wild. That's good. That's good. Because that means she's supporting the turn, and then she's supporting the next turn. So that means, in my personal opinion, I'm sorry. Y'all can be mad. She is not a dodge build. No. No. She is a full additional build because you can stack this. You can stack this. That means you can 60% support your allies on the next turn. On this turn and the next turn. That's absurd. That's absurd. There is no. Do not put dodge. You put additional. You put additional into this kit. You know what this means? That means that freaking if you have super AGL on this turn of Pan, that means you're supporting this rotation with 80% support. If she double supers, you're supporting with 120% support. Excuse me, 120. It's 90 and 120% support. I wish you could see my face right now because I'm just like, that's absurd. She's so crazy how much she can support the team. I mean, Super AGL is getting the bigger buff here, obviously, but the amount of support from this unit is absurd. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. This could literally change the usage of some units. The problem being is that her lowering defense. She's only at start turn 500k. That's great. She has to collect the 6 key spheres, though. She has to. No choice. This is definitely a full additional build to me to get that extra buff. Now, don't get me wrong. You want to collect as many AGL key spheres with her. And I would almost argue that you want another AGL key sphere changer to bring with, just to give her more chances to get AGL key spheres. She's so good. She's so good. This support right here changes everything about this unit for me. It really does. It really does. She's got a very decent defense. She's supporting AGL types by 60%. She's supporting all allies on the turn and the next rotation by 30%. 60% attack and defense if you get a double super with her. That's just crazy. That's just crazy to me. Anyways, so Cabba, I think, is a little wild. We'll move on to Cabba. I think Cabba's a little wild because he has super attack effects here. Cabba is crazy because he stacks by 50% for 9 turns. 9 turns? Man. This dude's crazy. Change all key spheres into if there are 2 more superclass allies when HP is 50% or lower. If you get lowered to 50% or lower, this dude is literally tanking everything in the game. Like, he could take a triple super from the freaking Mortal Will event versus that freaking Trunks. He could take a triple super. That Trunks does almost 3 million damage. This dude could almost take a triple. I mean, he could take a triple. He could take a double, and that would literally lower his defense. He could take a double and still take it. He could take... it's just absurd. It's absurd how much defense this guy can hit up to. But anyway. So with the 6 attack, 6 stacks, you could hit a pretty high amount of defense. I really wish that Halvard would have separated the 23 key spheres from the 6 stacking effects. But if we just look at his start of turn defense with 6 key spheres, let's say you had just one super attack stack on that. He's probably at about 500k defense. I mean, it's absolutely absurd. This dude will hit absolutely 1 million defense with 6 super attack effects. So this is another one where I would 100% say you should build on a full dodge, or a full additional. You can put dodge into him by all means, go for it. But he's gonna have so much defense, it's not even gonna matter. It's just not even gonna matter. It's really not. This Cabba's insane. Cabba and Pan are so far the most craziest units on out of these EZAs. I mean, I really cannot stress it enough. Cabba and Pan are just so good. They're both so good. They're both so very, very, very good. Let's move on here. Am I reading that right? Does Hit stack? He does stack. So Hit is also another big one that does the exact same thing, except for extreme STR types. Man, I was just saying on Twitter I wanted them to bring back mono leaders, but right now they're bringing in mono supports. Maybe I'll get my wish. This is a very excellent unit, greatly raising defense. He basically does the exact same thing as Cabba. He's gonna be freaking there to tank. Let's see here. Who else is here? Oh yeah, that's right. There's Cell. Now Cell is nice. He's not amazing, but he doesn't stack, but he at least does greatly raise his defense. So with 6 key spheres, he can hit up to 900k defense if he doubles. But in this case, I mean, this is... I would at this point maybe start going more towards dodge. Maybe a good, healthy middle ground between the two. You know, all of them are going to have a start of turn defense of around 400 to 500k, which is great. That's fine. But with units that actually are outputting a good amount of defense on super, it could be a game changer. It could literally save your life. And that's a promise. It could probably save your life. Really, it really could. The start of turn defense will also go up if you get more tech key spheres. It's just unlikely that you're going to collect more tech key spheres, if that makes any sense. So, but this is another one I would maybe suggest putting in some additional. That extra additional could go a very long way. Yeah, he's built the exact same. Tienshinhan is also built the same, except for super types instead of extreme types. The only crappy thing about Tien is that he's not building defense on super; he's building attack. So he's kind of in the light of, I would say, like Gohan right here, except Gohan stacks his attack, whereas Tien does not. He's immensely less impressive, in my personal opinion. Who else we got? Oh yeah, that's right. There's Gohan and then Vegeta. You know, we'll look at Vegeta first because I already know what these guys look like. And so Vegeta is very underwhelming. 6 key spheres, start a turn defense of 370. That's just not okay. He is very underwhelming. I mind you, extreme intelligence isn't the most prominent typing that you would really rock. I mean, you're not going to link him up with anybody except if you magically transform the Goku Vegeta LR. Or, I mean, not even transform. What is this unit? Oh, that's right. This is the Transformer. This is the transformation of that Krillin in Vegeta. That's his best partner. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, that's terrible. On an extreme intelligence team anyways. Yeah, he's not the best. He's not the best. He's not that good at all. He's only normally raising attack. I really feel like they just started pulling it out of a hat. Like, they really were just like, yeah, maybe we'll give some of these units this. Maybe we'll do this. Who knows? They made these units a long time ago. They didn't even really change his super attack, actually. Yeah, he went from a medium to a high chance to stun. Yeah, not very good. Not very good. Not very good at all. Gohan, on the other hand, is on the same train here with 9-turn stacking of attack and defense. That helps out immensely. That puts him way up there along with freaking Cabba here. They're basically the exact same unit, only difference being what their maximum stats could be. Does Gohan have a higher stat range? At EZA, 100%, 119k, or 11k. What is... How is that also 11k? Yeah, they're basically going to have the exact same numbers. So these two units here are going to be the tankiest units in the game currently. Literally the tankiest units in the game. It's pretty wild how tanky these two are. Let's just go look here. Yeah, 6.4. If you collect 23 key spheres and have 6 attack and defense stacks, yeah. Yeah. That's pretty crazy to me. So the good thing here is that he randomly changes key spheres. I mean, that's how it is for all of them. These are all built literally the exact same. Some of them you're going to want to pursue more of additional, more so than anything. Some of them you can argue to give additional over the dodge, like this Gohan greatly stacking attack. I mean, you could really benefit a lot from that. Getting anywhere from you could tank with him a little bit, but you could also do a really serious amount of damage. These other ones right here, the Cell, the Tien, the Vegeta, this Buu, I mean, they're just not doing as much. They're not stacking. They're minimally defending. They're also like very niche kind of areas. Like the real crime here is Tienshinhan. I mean, he deserved better. He didn't have a attack or defense raise. They could have gave him defense. There was no reason to give him greatly raise attack for 1 turn. There was no reason for that. They absolutely butchered Tien here on purpose. Why? I don't know. I mean, Tech type is a good typing, but it's not the best typing. He could have helped a lot more. He could have helped a lot more. But I would say the best units in this group are definitely going to be the Pan with her support of the whole rotation. And then, of course, I mean, these 3 right here are just going to be so tanky. They're going to be so tanky. They're going to be so good. So, my favorite is definitely going to be Pan, though. That's support for all allies. If she double supers, that's just an immense amount of support. There's going to be a huge difference in defense and damage for units if she double supers. But anyways, I think that's going to be it for the video. It was a pretty long one. Let me know what you guys decide to build these units as. It's kind of, I think a large portion of people are just going to go straight up 100% dodge. But the units I would suggest considering putting in additional would definitely be Pan 100%. I'm going full additional with Pan. I would just go full additional with these 4 units right here. Pan, Gohan, Cabba, and Hit. You know, give them a healthy additional before you pump in the dodge, because they're just going to get so much defense that you don't need to dodge, like, for a long time. They just gained a whole bunch of stocks. They just gained a whole bunch of stocks. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good day and a good night.